All right, so let's get started in our meeting today. I want to go through my demo account and I want to show you some things about broadcasting using OBS that it's been 7-8 months, and so I feel like I've spent an awful lot of time in OBS, and I still don't consider myself an expert like maybe a video gamer would, but I think I've got some really good options for you to run a very comprehensive and very robust platform on your event. So let's say on this coming Saturday. And we're actually going to mix a lot of different media. So let's dive into it. If you want, you can certainly ask questions while I'm doing the office hours, and I'll try to answer them as they come in. Yeah, so let's dig in. So in my account, I've already activated the EventStream service, and I want to take a look at that really quick. If I go to Event Central and then I go to Live Broadcast, I'm going to see here that I have 3 sections. The first section on this page is the live broadcast settings. Right now, I'm setting my video privacy to filter on bidders. I have the option also of using public, which is what you would normally want to do. And then you have the option to filter on a table. So for instance, if I set up tables in my bidder records, I could say, which table do I want people to have access to? This is perfect for like a VIP happy hour. So if your event starts at 7 and you want to do a happy hour from 6:30 to 7, where only a certain number of people can tune in, then you can go ahead and do that. And then at 7, you just switch this to public, and then everybody can tune in. So that's how we can accomplish that. The other option is weekly office hours. In the second section, you can sign up for our office hours. And then the last section, probably the more important of them, is the how do you plan to send your EventStream channel video material. And so the reason I ask it that way is because ClickBid's EventStream is it's a channel just like ESPN is a channel, HBO is a channel, and you have the option to broadcast whatever you want to it. We're just providing you a very fast pipeline that you can push that media to. The reason we chose to work with the groups that we work with, like Millicast, is because they offer us less than 1 second delay from the time you record it or you put it on your camera to the time that your bidders are going to see it. This is really, really important for live auctioneers when they do live auctions and a paddle race, because they need to be able to interact with people as fast as people are interacting with them. If there's a delay, it really starts to break things down, and it's hard to do a live auction. Pretty much impossible to do a live auction without this speed. So by default, we're going to say that we recommend you use the customized OBS version that Millicast has made and continues to update on a regular basis to provide that ultra fast delay. If you want to use the publicly available latest version of OBS, you'd jump over here to Other, and you would download it and use these settings. But I would recommend that you use the customized version of OBS that supports that lightning fast delivery. Of course, you do have the option to broadcast straight from your browser. If you wanted to do it that way, you could turn on your browser and it would start broadcasting for you. But if you're using software like OBS, then that can be that can be a good option as well. So I'm going to, when I come to this OBS software section, I'm going to download either Mac version or Windows version. I have a Mac, and I'm going to take note of my stream name and my publishing token. These are 2 important pieces of information. I want to jump over here to OBS, and when I open it up, it's going to have kind of just a real empty look to it. There's going to be a big black empty screen. There's going to be a thing here that says scenes on the left-hand side, another black box called sources. Then you have audio mixer and some controls. So not obvious what you should be doing at first, but let's kind of look at this as a PowerPoint program. You have your canvas that you're going to put stuff onto so that people can see it. And then you have your slides, which OBS calls scenes. And then you have things that you put on your slides, which are called sources. Like if you wanted to put a video clip or text or a photo or a background, you would put that in your sources. So the first scene that I always create, that first slide, is a waiting, hey, let's get ready scene. So for instance, if I'm running my event on Saturday starting at 7 p.m., I would start my broadcast at maybe 10 minutes to 7 with a loading screen. Now, let me just show you what I mean instead of, I can talk through it while I do it. I'm going to hit this plus button here under sources, and I'm going to choose media source. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to browse. I'm going to go to my downloads. Actually, I'm going to go to my desktop here and go to EventStream. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. I want to find that drone. Here it is. So I'm going to open up this footage, and it's not going to show me anything at first, but what I'm going to press then is loop. I want the video clip to just loop over and over and over and never stop. So I'm just going to hit loop, and then I'm going to hit OK. And boom, puts that video clip full screen. And it's just a bunch of, or just some drone footage of a shoreline, some pretty basic stuff, but it's gonna loop when it runs out of, when it runs to the end, see it starts over. Then on top of it, I'm going to add a text element, and I'm gonna just hit OK, and then I'm gonna type, our program will begin soon. I'm going to put will begin soon on another line. I'm going to choose font, and then, I'll just do Helvetica new. Let's just do thin and 144 size. So I'm basically kind of setting things up. I'm going to hit OK, and then hit OK again. And notice it dropped my text right on top in the left-hand corner. This red box with these smaller boxes on the corners and middle allow me to move and scale this layer. So I'm just going to click in the middle here on this word R, and I'm going to drag it over here. I'll just put it right there. And then if I wanted to, I could click on these boxes here, and I could make it bigger, smaller. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller so it's always on the water. And there you have it. If I click outside of that box, this is my first slide that I'm going to be broadcasting to everybody. Now, if I wanted to just broadcast this, what would I do? So I would press start streaming. The problem is I need to tell my version of OBS that's sitting on my computer where to send this video, because it's just like putting a letter in an envelope and then putting the envelope in your mailbox, and you're just kind of hoping that it makes it to your friend in California. Well, unless you put an address on it, it's not going anywhere other than back to your mailbox. And so you need to put an address on this as well. So that's what, if I go to settings and I go to stream in this new pop-up box, I have a service option. And because I downloaded the customized version of OBS, I get an option called Millicast WebRTC Streaming Platform. And then it gives me a stream name and a publishing token. Those are the pieces of data that I mentioned earlier: stream name, publish token. I'm going to copy. I can press copy to copy those, and then I can paste them into the boxes. Now, one other thing I want to mention, this is, it's not listed here, but it's something that I think it's important to mention. In the option just below stream is output. What I recommend is changing this output mode from simple, which is, you'll look at that and think, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to change it to advanced. And it's not, all you need to do is fill in these settings. I'm going to choose encoder as the X264. Then I'm going to set my rate control to CBR, which is constant bit rate. Then I'm going to set a bit rate somewhere between 2,500 and probably about 4,000. So the question, of course, is, well, what one do I pick? Well, it really depends on your speed of your internet connection. If this is an upload, so we're actually taking this footage and uploading it to the internet, and then it's going to be distributed through Millicast's network. Once it gets to Millicast, you're done. Millicast does all the work of streaming it, but you need to be able to get it there. So you need to make sure that you're sending data here at a slower speed than your computer's internet connection has. All right, what does that mean? Well, here's the easiest way to figure that out. Just pop open a new tab in Chrome and type the word speed test as one word. And then Chrome has a built-in internet speed test. It'll look like this. Just go ahead and press run speed test and it's going to run it. So I have, now this is my download. That's not my upload. My download's great, 103 megabits per second. That's fantastic. But now my upload, what does that look like? Okay, cool. Well, we're doing 8.7, 8.8. You know, that's a peak. If I were trying to upload 9 megs a second, that would be a problem. So then it gives you a tag, it gives you some results. You know, you may test it again just to see, you know, if it's consistent. You know, maybe you got lucky. I mean, 8 megabytes upload is pretty good for consumer grade Wi-Fi. So this 8 represents how fast my upload is. So this is the availability of what I have to upload my video using OBS. So this 8.93. So as long, what that means is if you translate it to numbers here, 8.93 would be 8,930 kilobytes per second. Now that's, if I put that, I'm gonna probably run into trouble because I'm really using all of my available upload for this video. So I would say cut it in half at least. You know, really anything over 4,000 kilobytes per second is going to be pretty much unnoticeable on a person's phone, in my experience. Now, if you're a film studio trying to get somebody to look at, you know, footage from a movie and it's, you know, that kind of thing, maybe you need a faster speed, you know, I don't know. But if you're doing an event, 4,000 is probably your top end. Then come down here. This is actually the more important part. Once you get a rate that's within a comfortable, be very comfortable here. Keyframe interval, you want 2 seconds, or if the software is measured in frames, you want 60 frames. So 2 seconds is a keyframe interval. That's really important because the keyframes that we send to Millicast are gonna be, if we have them too close together or too spread apart, then it creates problems for Millicast. And because Millicast is focused on the world's fastest, blazing fast speeds, you're going to want to make sure that that's set to 2. Your CPU usage, I usually just use very fast as an option. You have a bunch of options here. Now, in my work, I've never had a problem with that, so that works. The profile, I always set to baseline. And then my tune, you can set that to 0 latency if you want. Tune isn't as important, but this right here, this X264 command line options, I put a -- B frames space 0, -- B frames, that's all, no spaces, then put a space in 0, -- B frames space 0. So when you're done with that, that's kind of a lot of nerd stuff. Now I actually do include all of this on the ClickBid page. If you go to Other, and it's all right here, plus the screenshot of what I just showed you. And so I'll be moving this as well over here, so it's a lot more obvious. And then now that I have that set, I hit OK, and I can go ahead and press Start Streaming. Now, when I press Start Streaming, it's going to say Stop Streaming, meaning, you know, we're done. And down here at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see dropped frames. Whoops, you're going to see live. You're going to see CPU, and it's going to tell you a little bit about what's going on. What you really want to make sure you see is the word live, and that you're not having a ton of dropped frames. That's an important thing, because because it's at 0 right now. That means the data that we're sending to Millicast is getting there properly. Our data rate that we picked is good. It's not set too high. So now if I were to, again, go to somebody's device or even my computer, you would go to the website, and if they logged in, then given a few seconds, this will pop up and you'll see the video. Now, if you don't see the video, what you want to make sure is, do we have the proper settings? Is this set to public? Or do I still have it set to filter on bidders? That's going to be important. We want to make sure that's public. So if people can't see it, then that's a good telltale sign. So I can make this full screen and see it's, it's streaming. Now, what I'm doing for this demo is not actually something I would recommend. Notice how I am testing my broadcast on the very same computer that I am uploading my broadcast. And incidentally, I'm also doing these office hours on Zoom. So I have Zoom running, which is sending data to Zoom's servers and making it available to you guys. I'm using OBS, which is sending video up to Millicast's server and making it available to anybody in my event. And I've got another tab open that's actually downloading the feed and watching it. So not only am I putting my computer through a lot of abuse, with running a lot of programs and memory intensive ones, I'm also using a lot of data on my computer. So when you do your event, it's really important that your computer that is broadcasting with OBS, whichever one you have this application running on, make sure that it is the only thing you're doing on this computer. So if you want to test your broadcast, take your phone out and then go to your website, log in as a bidder and test it that way. That will be a better test because you're using your phone just like anybody else from home is going to be doing. The computer that you're running OBS that you see here in front of you should only be doing this. Now, notice if I do my Alt-Tab on my Mac, I have Zoom running, I have Chrome running, and I have OBS. I would probably prefer to turn Chrome off and turn Zoom off and only be using OBS because that's going to take the least, it's going to keep my computer focused on OBS, and that's what I want. Now, obviously, I want more on my OBS broadcast than I'm going to do on Saturday than just this, our program will begin soon. So let's say I had a friend of mine put together a PowerPoint presentation that had slides of sponsor logos. So because they know how to use PowerPoint, really that's probably the best reason you would have somebody do it is people know that program better than other, graphic design programs. So they get logos, they put them in the slideshow. What you can do is you can have that person output all of those slides into a folder. PowerPoint has the ability to save as or export, and one of the options is export slides as images. So you're going to export those slides as images into a folder. And let's say they email you that folder and you get it, and let's see if I have a copy of that here. So my video production webinar, this is my PowerPoint file. If I open it up, this is my PowerPoint file. And this was a webinar I gave last week. And then I output it as individual slides. So if I open up my slide folder, I have now 21 slides. And I want to import those as a slideshow. So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, how do I get a PowerPoint file into OBS so I can broadcast it? And the answer to that is you need to output your PowerPoint program as individual images of each slide. And then in my scenes window, I'm going to click plus and I'm going to call it PowerPoint. Now these titles, these names I'm picking are what I would want to name things so that when I'm running the program, I know which scene to choose. So it can be any name you want. And then in my sources, I need to add something to this scene. So my first source is going to be an image slideshow. And I'm just going to leave it the same name, hit OK. And then I get a new property box and I have some properties here. Now the properties, there's more properties than this window is showing me. If I go over here to this bar on the right-hand side, I can scroll up and down and you can see here that I have a bunch more options. So I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to say always play when not visible. No, let's do, I want to stop the presentation, the slideshow when it's not visible. And then when I choose it, I want it to start over from the beginning. So that's what I want. My slide mode, I'm going to leave automatic. I have the option of making it manual and using hotkeys like you would in a regular PowerPoint. But because I want it to loop for 5 minutes, once I start my program, then I'm going to choose automatic. Then my transition is a fade. Time between slides, I want to be 8,000 milliseconds, and 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. So 8,000 is going to be 8 seconds. And that's pretty good. 8 to 10 seconds per slide is a good amount of time, as long as you don't have a ton of stuff to read. Then your transition between the slides should be pretty short. So this is 7/10 of a second, pretty good. I want it to loop because I know I'm going to have this up for about 5 minutes, but what if it's 5.5, or what if it's 6? I don't want it to just get done and then show a black screen. So I want it to loop. And then I can import my image files. Now I can do one at a time by just doing add files. And then I go to downloads and I can just pick, image 1, and then it'll put that image there, and then image 2. You can do this one at a time. If you have a couple of slides, I guess that would be okay. And the nice thing about doing it this way is you can reorganize them. So let's say I'm just going to import the first 5. I don't need all 21 of them. So the other option you have is to do plus add directory. So if all of your images are numbered properly in your directory and nothing else, then you can choose that directory. But I've just chosen these, and you can see up here it's actually rotating every 8 seconds, and I have 5 images. Now, if I can click on them and I can move them up, I can move them down, I can reorder them, which is nice. And then I'm going to press OK, but they're kind of small, they don't fit. So I need to take that corner that I told you about a little bit earlier. I'm going to click on that bottom right corner and just drag until it snaps right into that corner. So now it's zoomed in and it will play full screen. So now if I were streaming, which I actually never stopped. So if I come back here, again, do what I told you not to do and test it out on my computer, but because we're doing office hours and it's not critical, I'll be okay. And then I see I hit, it's going to start, and now I'm on my slideshow. So it just started over actually. So now it's, if I come over here to show OBS, you can see it's, here's my slide that's actively broadcasting. Here's the slide being being seen by people. And then it's going to switch. See, it's pretty quick. Now you'll notice that there's a little bit of a delay here because again, my computer's trying to do 2 things at once. If I were here, it would be running nice and smooth. And over here, it's running nice and smooth. But if you're trying to watch them both at the same time, it gets a little, computer gets a little overwhelmed. So I'm gonna choose my waiting screen, and now I'm back to the waiting screen. I wanna go back to PowerPoint, and I go back to PowerPoint. And now I have 2 scenes. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this and try to recover some of my computer's processing power. Now let's say when I'm done showing my image slideshow, I want to show a video. So let's do main program. I've paid somebody to put together an entire program, and I'm going to choose media source, OK, browse, and let's go to the EventStream folder, and let's see if we can find a program here and open. And then I don't want it to loop. I just want it to play once. And then OK. And now this is my program. Notice here that you have some audio playing, which is great. That you want that if there's audio to it. And then that'll be broadcasting out to who's ever watching it. Now you'll notice I'm still streaming. I'm going to go ahead and stop. And so you're broadcasting. I have my waiting screen, my PowerPoint slide, and my main program. So last, what if I want to add somebody to my broadcast that's not that's a live auctioneer? Take a quick sip of coffee. So I have a layered video with some text on it. I have an image slideshow. I have just a plain old video that I'm going to play start to finish. I want to make one note here that when you use video, make sure that that video is on your computer's desktop, because you want to make sure that the video file that you're bringing in here is not having to run through a USB stick or that it's being downloaded from the web at the same time you're trying to broadcast it. You want it to be sitting on your hard drive, on your computer's desktop. That way it's on your main hard drive and it's going to play nice and fast. There's not going to be any technical issues. So if I want to add a live auctioneer, well, what if I want to add them through Zoom? That's usually the most popular way to do it. You say, well, Zoom or Skype or WebEx. So one of the challenges that OBS has is that it doesn't incorporate Zoom very well. You actually have to bring it in as a separate video camera. So if you go to the store, your local Best Buy, you can buy a web camera that you plug into your computer with a USB port. We've all been using Zoom, so a lot of us have had to go out and get these external web cameras. So when you plug it into your computer says, hey, this is a new web camera. And then when I open up Zoom, I can choose that web camera, and then that's what will be shown to everybody when we all join the meeting. However, you can also use other computers. You can use professional video cameras. They can all be treated just like a web camera, and they can be picked as an input source in OBS. So what does that actually mean? What I want to show you is a picture of a setup that I have here. This is actually the setup of my home office, and this is what I'm using actually right now as we speak. I'm sitting right here. I have a laptop on the desk, and I have over here in this dark object here is a Macintosh Mini, and then this is my web camera that I have plugged into my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a Zoom meeting on this computer. So I'm going to create a Zoom meeting. I'm going to invite the auctioneer and myself, or I'm going to invite the auctioneer and a couple other people. Either way, I'm going to invite them, and I'm going to run the Zoom meeting on this computer. Then I'm going to take this little piece of equipment that I bought on Amazon, and I'll put a link when I send this out. This little hardware piece here, it's about, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks. And then I bought a cable. This cable plugs into my laptop. This guy right here plugs into my Macintosh. So if I go back up, that USB plug plugs right into my Mac. And so what that does is, see this little cable, if I zoom in, let me, it's worth zooming in so you can see. So, whoops, if you right here, you can see this cable is plugged into my laptop, and it goes all the way out and then plugs into the back of my Mac, which is that little piece of hardware that I bought. That little piece of hardware tells my Mac that I'm plugging in essentially a web camera. So it's basically treating anything I plug into it as a web camera. So if I go ahead and do that, what will happen is my OBS will recognize everything from this laptop as a video camera and an audio source. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got it plugged in, and I'm back here in OBS, and I say a new scene, and I want to call it Zoom. And that dramatic too, Zoom. Then I click plus, and I choose video capture device. And I hit OK, and then it's going to ask me what my device is that I want. So if I've got that HDMI converter plugged in, I can choose USB camera. And now I hit OK, and it's basically sending over, remember that picture I had? If I go back to my picture, let's go back to downloads. This is a picture I took earlier on my cell phone before the meeting today, and notice I had that page set up here. I'm essentially sending you that right now on this device. So if this were my Zoom meeting, then I would be sending you that. Now, if I go ahead and let's load up my calculator. Notice it's showing you my calculator. If I load up, Firefox, it's going to load whatever I'm showing on this laptop is being sent to OBS on this side. So that little device that I bought converts the video coming out of my computer into a web camera. It basically tells my Mac, hey, this is a web camera, so just treat it that way. And then treat it like an audio source. So if I go to, I'm gonna close on my other computer, I'm gonna close the calculator, open up a new tab, and I'm gonna type in youtube.com/AFV for America's Funniest Videos. Figure that's pretty safe. And then I'm going to click on this, and now you're watching videos. So you're watching funny home videos. I could make this full screen on my laptop, and then now it's full screen. So now I can be showing a YouTube video, which again, you know, you want to be careful with your home internet's bandwidth, but since I have so much of it, I should be fine. But the first problem you might see is there's no audio. So in my audio mixer, there's no audio coming in. So I'm going to pause this video here, and right there, I'm going to pause it right there. And I need to add one more source. I need to add an audio source. So I'm going to click plus, audio input capture, and then I'm going to press OK. And default, I want it to be the USB digital audio. So I do that, OK. Now I have two sources. I have a video capture source and an audio capture. So they're both capturing off of that USB device that I plugged into my Mac. Now, if I hit play, you're going to see that there's audio coming in. And so I'm going to pause it again. Now, what you want to do when you've completed this is get out your phone, load up your EventStream, and watch it, and make sure that the audio is in sync. Because we created two different sources, you want to make sure that the audio isn't like ahead or behind the video. And what's nice about OBS is it lets you play with that. So if you just come here and see this little gear icon, you can click on that, and we're going to open up some advanced properties. The first thing, though, I'm going to do is see this mic/auxiliary. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've clicked the speaker and make sure it's red and it says X or shows an X. That means that I'm not taking any audio from my computer, my Macintosh computer's microphone. That's definitely not what I want. So because if I'm sitting at a desk and I'm broadcasting the event to everybody, I don't want it picking up my audio. I want it using all the audio from the videos and from Zoom. So I'm going to click on the gear next to the audio input capture, and then go to advanced audio properties. And it brings open a window here. So it gives me this audio input capture, mic auxiliary, and I can leave this kind of over here. And then what I can do is on my phone, if I'm watching, again, I'm watching the stream as if somebody's from home bidding and they're looking at this. And if they watch that, if I hit play again, then what I can do is I can take this sync offset and I can adjust when the audio is being delivered. So let's say I want to, normally you might want to take off, let's just negative 300 milliseconds. What that means is you're going to shift the audio 0.3 of a second behind. So that way we force the audio to be delayed a little bit, and that should match the synchronization. These are just very, so we're basically saying that the audio is just 0.3 of a second off of, I'm going to pause this. There we go. right on those eyelashes. I think they're probably going to fly off. So I'm just going to pause this, and before she hits that and has a tragic accident. You can change this offset, and basically what you're doing is you're fine-tuning the audio video synchronization, because sometimes you might be watching the video and you're like, funny, it doesn't look like their lips are in sync. My default is to just put a negative 300 in there. That kind of shifts things a little bit so that everything lines up perfectly. If that doesn't work, you can just continue to play with it, and it's real time. So as you're playing the video and you're watching the video, it'll show you the changes that it's making. So you can do that, and then you can hit close. Now, once you've done that, you're good. You don't have to do it again unless you want to, but it's always under this gear, advanced audio properties. So what we've essentially done is we've brought in my computer, my laptop. So whatever my laptop is playing, I'm putting on my broadcast. I'm sending out to everybody who's watching. So that is a great way to get any other video clip you want, or a Zoom meeting or a WebEx meeting, anything into OBS so that you can broadcast it. Now, normally I'd be running Zoom on my laptop, but because we're doing a Zoom meeting right now, I'm not going to do both. That would be kind of weird. So what I want to do is jump over to back into ClickBid, and I want to wrap up today with talking about how to do a live auction with your guests at home. So let's say, in OBS, we went ahead and we set up the Zoom because we're going to call in the auctioneer. The auctioneer lives in Colorado, for instance, and my event is in New Jersey. That's okay, because the auctioneer can call in from anywhere, and we'll just use Zoom and bring him in through Zoom. So perfect. But, excuse me, but what I want to do is make sure that my auction items are set up the right way. So if I go to items, manage items, I can see immediately, all of my auction items are closed. Well, why is that? I want to change that. I'm going to go to show 10 to show all items. I'm going to click this box here to select everything in my list, all the way down to my batch update section. I want to change all their statuses to active, and I want to set a closing time to tonight at 9 p.m. and then update. And that will allow me to update all my auction items. They'll all be updated and active. So that's good. That's the first good step, that everything can be bid on. Then I want to look and try to find those live auction items. Or instead, let me show you how to create one. What I'm going to do is click add item, and I'm going to call it Fun Night Post Q-Teen. So then I'm going to make it active, and I'm going to set a closing time, again, tonight of 9 p.m., not 8 p.m. I want it to be 9 p.m. And then most importantly, I'm going to set the item type to live, and I'm going to come over here and tell it to allow live bids. Yes, I want, what that means, if you mouse over this info icon, it's going to tell you that people will be able to bid on this item from home when the organizer lets you. So for instance, we don't know if it's going to be at 7:55 or 7:48 p.m. when the auctioneer gets to this item. So a volunteer is going to control when that item is open for bidding, because the auctioneer is going to say the next item is Fun Night Post Q-Teen or Quarantine. We're auctioning off an item for 4 people to go out on the town on a wine tour of Baltimore, and then an overnight stay at the Grand Continental top level suite. This package would normally cost $2,500. We're going to start the bidding at $500, and basically what you're used to at a live auction. When all that's happening, then a volunteer is saying, okay, now I'm going to allow bids. And then when the auctioneer says, and sold, I'm going to say, okay, now I'm done allowing bids. So we're opening it up for people to bid on live. Now, when you do that, it lets you set a starting bid. Now, remember I said we're going to start the bidding at 500. The value is priceless, or let's just say it's 2,500, and then my bidding increments are going to be 250. So this can be anything you want. It should be reasonable, so that if you receive anywhere from 10 to 15 bids, your final price would be something you would be happy with. That's why you wouldn't set the increments to $5, because 10 bids at $5 is not going to total very much. So, but 10 bids at 250 is going to be great, especially if we're starting at 500. This can all be dialed in while the live auction is going, but it's very important to get that set as close as you can before the auction starts. So I've gone ahead and set that up. I'm going to click complete and go back. I can put in a description. I can upload up to 10 images. I can put exceptions and so on, but I just did the basics on that. Now, how do I find it? I just created this item. I have no idea where it went. The easiest way to find it is to just do a type search and then write the word live into the type box, and you'll see all of your live items. And oh, there it is, fun post Qteen. So it's item 170, and it has a tag of EventStream. That is an item that says, oh, we're going to use this as a live biddable item. And it's using the EventStream service. That's part of what you get when you activate the EventStream. So how does all this go down? Let's say it's 7:30, you're in OBS, you're the volunteer that's running OBS, and you switch to the Zoom meeting. On your laptop that was right to the right of my computer, I go ahead and go to Zoom and I bring in the auctioneer, and the auctioneer's talking, and I have, on my computer, I have Butler open. So again, I'm running Zoom, I'm running OBS, and now I'm going to open up the EventStream. And I'm watching the stream. Now, in an ideal world, this would be done by a volunteer who is not running OBS on a different laptop. This can be run on any kind of laptop. This can be run on an iPad. But this could be somebody sitting behind me or next to me on their own laptop running the live auction, as long as they can see and interact with the auctioneer. That's, you know, that's the important part, because they've got to stay in sync with the auctioneer. The auctioneer is watching this same screen from where they are. Remember I said, let's say Colorado, but instead the auctioneer is watching it from this confidence view only display. They logged into the admin and then they clicked on confidence display. The reason this is here is so that the auctioneer has a read only. It's the only, they're not able to click on anything. They're just watching the bids come in. They're going to see who bids when, and it's going to happen right now. But somebody else is actually managing the live auction. If you're a really good, savvy auctioneer, then you could probably do both. So let's pretend I'm the auctioneer and I'm really super savvy. And I say, all right, folks, here we go. We're going to auction off. Let's start with that fun night from post-quarantine. It's item number 170. We're going to load that up. Everybody, I want to talk a little bit about this live auction, this fun night on post-quarantine. While they're talking about it, if I go to somebody's phone, and I'm doing, you know, all three of it on this one laptop or this one computer, I'm watching the broadcast. I see this bid live button. So I'm at home and I'm watching the broadcast. So let me come back to OBS. I'm going to start streaming. So this person on this little red wagon thing is my live auctioneer. So let's just say that's the live auctioneer. This is the Zoom meeting that's running in my laptop over here. So now I'm at home and I'm watching the auctioneer tell me all about this live item, and I want to bid on it. So I'm going to move this over here, and then I'm going to press bid live. See this bid live? The auctioneer says, okay, folks, press the bid live button. And it's fun night post quarantine. And it says this item is not yet current, or is not currently accepting bids. Well, no, because the auctioneer is talking about it. So the auctioneer is talking about the item. And then the auctioneer says, all right, folks, we're going to start the bidding at $500. Let's get that bidding started. 500 bucks. Do I see 500? Now, back home, everybody gets this button now that the auctioneer has started it. So I'm going to break this tab off, make it a little smaller. And I'm going to move it over a little bit so that we can see the two things happening at once. This is what people see at home and what they're bidding on at home. And over here is what the auctioneer sees in Colorado. Folks, we got this at 500. Do I see 500, folks? $500. Well, you know, Harry back in Baltimore says, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do 500. And so now the auctioneer says, all right, we got $500, $500, folks, 500. Do I hear 750? 750, folks, $750. This is an amazing opportunity, folks, to get a bid in and win this incredible fun night post-quarantine opportunity to get out. We've all been waiting for this. 250, folks, $250 more, 750. Do I see 750? And then somebody else at home presses, yeah, I mean, I can do 750. And so in this example, I'm the same person, but you would get multiple people bidding, and it's all happening in real time. So if the auctioneer sees, oh, Harry Bosch, okay, we got 750, folks, and the auctioneer can say, you know what? Maybe 250 is a little steep. How about 150? So they're going to knock 100 bucks off the current or the minimum bid. So they hit that, and now we're only going up by 150 increments. All right, folks, listen. How about a $900? I think we can get $900. This is a $2,500 auction item, ladies and gentlemen. This is an amazing opportunity. Let's do this. $2,500. going once, folks. We got $900 going once. We got $900 going twice, and we are going to sell it at $900. And the auctioneer presses sell. Back home, it's going to change. Now again, I have two screens going, so it's going to be a little bit, we got some delay here, and I have to close this because because I have two screens going. You really shouldn't be doing it this way, but that item closed. Now we're going to move on to the next item. Let's do European Vacation Getaway. Folks, the European Vacation Getaway is an awesome opportunity, an awesome item. And then, yeah, I think my Chrome has gotten incredibly slow. What happens is when you have multiple browser windows open and multiple things going, your computer's CPU starts to get lost in what it should be focusing on. So I'll hit bid live here, and it may not update as quickly as I want it to over here. So, but that's because I'm trying to do multiple things. If you're an auctioneer, I want to focus and say that this is the screen you'll be using. If you're savvy, if you would rather just be calling the auction and you don't want anything to do with button clicking, then one of your spotters that you would normally have at the event would be running this screen, and you would be watching the confidence display. So let's go ahead and start this, and I'm going to start accepting bids. All right, my computer's running a little more caught up, and so I've gotten a bid in. So Harry Bosch is bidding $3,000 on this item. The next bid's $3,500. If I were using the confidence display and I were the auctioneer and I said, I don't want to touch buttons, and then I press launch confidence display, the auctioneer sees this. They see just the information, no buttons, nothing to click on, and they're just watching these bids come in. So the auctioneer says, all right, 3,500 folks, do I hear 3,500? Somebody puts in 3,500, and the auctioneer sees 3,500. This is designed so you could even watch this on a smartphone. It doesn't have to be something that's full screen. Again, if I move this over and show it to you on a really narrow display, you could see this on your smartphone. So that's how the bids come in. I'm, placing bids. Yep, placing bids. And then when the item sells, the person that's running the actual EventStream controls, if I go back here and then I go to manage your EventStream, and I'm running the EventStream controls, and they click sell, and then I close it, it's going to mark it sold at $4,500. And now as the winner, again, my computer decided not to keep updated. I am now the winner of this item at $4,500, and I can, now that's it, no more bids. And so we move on to the next item and the next item and so on. And that's how you would run your live auction. Now remember, in OBS, I've set this up, and this is just humming along. Nothing's, I haven't touched or done anything as the person who runs the OBS stream. I've got my one laptop that's running the Zoom meeting, and I've got my other machine that's running the OBS broadcast, and I've done nothing. I'm just letting it all go and happen. And so the volunteer is running the live auction, and the auctioneer is doing all the calling, in their talented, fast talking, motivating speak. And it's all coming together. It's all working out. And when it's done, oftentimes I'll have a credit roll. I'll add another input here, and instead of saying our program will begin soon, I might change it to thank you for attending. And then you can put some text in here that says, thank you to our sponsors and so on. And this can just run on a loop at the end of the broadcast until you're ready to stop streaming. And what happens when I stop streaming is the video goes away from here, and it just shuts off. So people don't have to close it. They don't have to wonder if the event's over. It just stops playing in the person's browser. And then, they either keep bidding or the auction closes and they make payments, or, and so on. All right, so we got to the end. I am going to stop recording here in just a second and take questions. But yeah, thank you. And yeah, happy to answer any questions that you have.